Your dog finally got what it deserved, Janet said over the phone, her voice full of satisfaction. Now my cats can visit without that monster bothering them. I gripped the steering wheel tightly, speeding to the emergency vet. My heart pounded as I thought of Max, my 3-year-old German Shepherd. He had collapsed after breakfast, the same meal my mother-in-law, Janet, had prepared that morning. "What'd you do to Max?" I asked, my voice shaking with anger. "Oh, just a little something to calm him down," she said casually. "They'll be fine. Maybe next time you'll train your dog properly." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Janet had always disliked Max, but this was beyond anything I imagined. Max wasn't just a pet. He had been my comfort after my husband, Mike, and I lost our baby. But Janet never understood. She hated Max, saying he was a poor substitute for the grandchild she would never have. As I reached the clinic, his staff rushed out with a gurney. "Mrs. Mitchell," Dr. Santos greeted me. "We need to run tests right away. Do you know what happened?" I swallowed hard, explaining how Max had collapsed and how Janet had just called, bragging about putting something in his food. Dr. Santos's face darkened. "We need to document everything. This is a crime." My phone buzzed with messages from Janet. "Dogs are replaceable. Maybe now you can focus on giving me real grandchildren. Mike never wanted that much anyway." I forwarded the messages to the vet, then called Mike. My hands were shaking. "Anna? What's wrong?" he asked. "Your mother poisoned Max," I said. She just admitted it. Silence. Then finally, that's impossible." "Check your messages." I recorded her call. He exhaled sharply. "I'm on my way." Dr. Santos returned with x-rays. "We found small capsules in Max's stomach. We're sending them to the lab." This was done on purpose. "Will he survive?" I asked, my voice breaking. "We caught it early, thanks to you." "But Anna," she leaned in, "this isn't just about Max. People who do this often escalate. You need to be careful." Mike arrived, his face pale as he looked at the evidence. "I never thought. I knew Mom didn't like Max, but this." "She didn't just dislike him, Mike," I said, pulling away from his touch. "She tried to kill him. She enjoys hurting people." My phone buzzed again. Another text from Janet. "A dog isn't a child, Anna. Time to grow up." I showed it to Mike. His expression hardened. "The police will want to talk to her," I said. He nodded. "Good. It's time someone stopped her." Janet thought she could get away with it, but she had no idea this was just the beginning. The next few days passed in a blur of police reports, veterinary updates, and increasingly unhinged messages from Janet. Mike had moved us into a hotel temporarily, worried his mother might try something else while Max recovered at the animal hospital. "The lab results are back," Dr. Santos said during our morning update call. "We found a combination of prescription medications in those capsules. Some were pet medications, but others," she paused significantly, "others were human prescription drugs. Very specific ones." I sat up straighter. "What does that mean?" "It means your mother-in-law didn't just use random poison. These were carefully selected medications, some of which require special authorization to obtain. We've shared the findings with the police, and they're particularly interested in how she accessed these drugs." The implications hit me like a truck. Janet worked as a receptionist at a medical clinic. Had she been stealing medications? The thought made me sick. Mike was meeting with a detective when I arrived at the animal hospital to visit Max. My normally energetic shepherd was still weak, but his tail wagged when he saw me. Dr. Santos had said he was lucky. If I hadn't noticed his symptoms so quickly, the outcome could have been devastating. "Mrs. Mitchell," Detective Parker greeted me, his notebook open. "We've made some interesting discoveries. Your mother-in-law's employer has been very cooperative." Mike looked up, his face grim. "They've been missing medications for months, Anna. Small amounts, nothing obvious. But when they checked the logs against the lab results." Janet had access to everything found in Max's system, Detective Parker confirmed. "We've obtained security footage showing her accessing the medication storage area outside of normal business hours." I stroked Max's head, feeling him lean into my touch. "So this wasn't just about hurting Max?" "No," the detective replied. "This appears to be part of a larger pattern. We found evidence of other potential incidents. Your mother-in-law may have been experimenting with these medications for some time. Mike buried his face in his hands. I can't believe this. All those times she offered to help with Max's anxiety, saying she had special supplements. You didn't know, I said softly, though part of me wanted to scream. I told you so. I'd always refused Janet's offers to treat Max, trusting my instincts when she seemed too eager to medicate him. Detective Parker cleared his throat. We'll need to investigate other possible victims. Were there any other pets in the family who experienced unexpected health issues? Mike's head snapped up. My sister's cat died 6 months ago. Mom said she found it having seizures and tried to help, but his voice trailed off as the implications sank in. We'll need to speak with your sister, the detective said, making notes, and anyone else who might have had pets become ill after contact with your mother. Just then, my phone buzzed with a new message from Janet. I hear Max survived. Pity. But there are always accidents waiting to happen. Better watch him carefully. I wordlessly showed the message to Detective Parker, who immediately began typing on his phone. That's a direct threat. We're bringing her in for questioning now. As if on cue, we heard a commotion in the clinic's reception area. Janet's voice carried clearly. I'm here to check on my granddog. How dare you try to keep me away? Mike moved to block the door while Detective Parker stepped out. I held Max close, feeling him tremble as Janet's voice grew louder. This is ridiculous. I was trying to help. That dog is a menace. He needed to be dealt with. Anna's turned him against me, just like she turned Mike against me. The detective's voice was calm but firm. Mrs. Harrison, you're under arrest for animal cruelty, theft of prescription medications, and making criminal threats. You have the right to remain silent. This is absurd, Mike. Tell them. Tell them how that dog ruined everything. Tell them how Anna chose a dog over giving me grandchildren. Mike stepped into the hallway, his voice stronger than I'd ever heard it. The only thing ruining this family is you, Mom. And it stops now. I heard Janet's outraged scream, followed by the sound of handcuffs clicking into place. Detective Parker's partner led her away, still shouting accusations and threats. Dr. Santos entered a few minutes later, looking shaken but determined. Well, that was dramatic. But I have good news. Max's latest tests show significant improvement. We should be able to send him home in a few days, with some precautions, of course. Mike returned to the room, his face a mix of relief and grief. Anna, I don't know what to say. All these years, I didn't want to see what was right in front of me. Mom wasn't just difficult or overprotective. She was dangerous. I reached for his hand, and this time I didn't pull away when he took it. We're going to need to make some changes, I said quietly. Real changes, not just temporary ones. He nodded, reaching out to pat Max with his free hand. I know, and I'm ready. No more excuses, no more trying to keep the peace. Mom needs help, professional help, and we need to protect our family. I looked at our dog, still weak but fighting to recover, and thought about how close we'd come to losing him. Janet's action hadn't just threatened Max. They'd revealed a darkness that had been poisoning our family for years. But as I watched Mike gently comfort our dog, I realized something had shifted. Sometimes it takes a crisis to open our eyes to the truth. Janet's attempt to destroy what she saw as a threat had instead destroyed her own power over our family. The detective's words lingered in my mind. This wasn't over yet. They were investigating other potential victims, and Janet's threats suggested she wasn't done. But for the first time in years, I felt like we were finally facing the problem together instead of letting it tear us apart. The months following Janet's arrest brought changes I never expected. The investigation uncovered a disturbing pattern. 3 other pets in the neighborhood had died under suspicious circumstances, all after Janet had helped watch them. Mike's sister Amy was devastated to learn her cat's death wasn't an accident, but her testimony proved crucial in building the case against their mother. The DA is offering a plea deal, Detective Parker informed us during a follow-up meeting. Given the evidence and the multiple victims, Janet's looking at serious charges. The clinic is also pressing charges for theft of controlled substances. Max had made a full recovery, though he remained wary of strangers near his food. We'd installed security cameras around the house and implemented strict protocols about who could access our home. The experience had left its mark on all of us. She's still claiming it was all for the family's good, Mike said, shaking his head as we left the detective's office. Says she was trying to fix our family by removing the distractions. I watched as he knelt to greet Max, who was waiting in our car. The bond between them had grown stronger through this ordeal. Mike had finally seen his mother's true nature, and with that recognition came a determination to protect what really mattered. The court date arrived on a crisp autumn morning. Janet sat at the defendant's table, looking smaller somehow without her usual air of superiority. When she turned to look at us, I expected to see anger or blame in her eyes. Instead, I saw something that chilled me more: calculation. Before the court accepts this plea, the judge began. Does the defendant wish to make a statement? Janet stood, her hands clasped demurely in front of her. I only wanted what was best for my family, she said, her voice trembling perfectly. My son and daughter-in-law were so focused on that dog, treating it like a child. I thought if the dog wasn't around. You thought poisoning multiple animals would somehow fix your family? The judge interrupted, his tone sharp. The court has evidence of at least 4 victims, Mrs. Harrison. This wasn't a moment of weakness. This was a calculated pattern of cruelty. The sentence came down harder than we expected. 3 years in prison, mandatory psychiatric evaluation, and a lifetime ban on working in medical facilities or owning pets. Janet's practiced composure finally cracked. This is your fault, she screamed as they led her away. If you'd just given me grandchildren instead of wasting time with that stupid dog. Mike stood up, his voice carrying clearly across the courtroom. No, Mom, this is your fault. And until you understand that, we can't have you in our lives. Outside the courthouse, Amy approached us with tears in her eyes. I'm so sorry I didn't believe you about Mom sooner, she told me, hugging me tight. Thank you for stopping her before she could hurt anyone else. Life gradually settled into a new normal. We moved to a house with a large fenced yard where Max could play safely. Mike started therapy to process his complicated feelings about his mother. Slowly, we began to heal. One evening, as we watched Max chasing fireflies in the backyard, Mike turned to me with a serious expression. You know what I realized? He said softly. Mom was wrong about everything. Max didn't prevent us from having a family. He helped us create one. He showed us what unconditional love really looks like. I leaned against him, thinking about how far we'd come. He also showed us how to recognize when someone doesn't have our best interests at heart, I added. Janet still writes sometimes, always with the same manipulative undertones. Her latest letter claimed she's found God in prison and wants to reconcile. We file each letter with our lawyer, maintaining the paper trail while keeping our distance. Max continues to thrive, his protective instincts now channeled into gentle care of our newest family member, a baby girl who arrived last spring. He keeps a watchful eye on her, just as he did for us when we needed him most. The security cameras remain, and we're still careful about who we trust with our family's care. Some might call it paranoid, but we learned the hard way that sometimes the biggest threats come from those who claim to love us most. Yesterday, I found Mike in the nursery, watching as Max lay protectively by the baby's crib. You know, he said quietly, I used to think Mom was right about what a family should look like. But now I understand. Family isn't about meeting someone else's expectations. It's about protecting the ones you love, whether they walk on 2 legs or 4. Looking at them, my husband, our dog who survived poisoning to become a guardian, and our daughter sleeping peacefully, I knew he was right. Janet had tried to destroy what she couldn't control, but instead she'd only made us stronger. Our family wasn't what she wanted, but it was exactly what we needed. Sometimes the worst betrayals lead us to our best decisions. Janet's attempt to fix our family had failed, but in its place, we'd built something genuine, something strong. And this time, we knew how to protect it.